Listen, I absolutely love Ghost of Tsushima, and that's exactly why I bought Assassin's Creed Shadows. I have played Ghost of Tsushima, I would say 3 times. I played it the year I got it, I played it last year, I played it this year. And that's just 3 times. Ask GTA 5 what I did to it. Don't judge by the clips on my page. That was like the first time I was playing it, so I was stumbling around a lot. I like easy games. I don't like games that stress me. I like games that are open world, adventure. I like games that don't force me to follow a storyline to do what I need to do. I can decide what I want to do when I want to do it. See that Elden Ring? I was not going to try it. I'm the kind of gamer that will play a game 10 times. I want to say over and over, or 10 times before I buy a new one. What I like about both games, where it was set, the samurai story, and for GOT particularly, how everything played out. I mean, I felt like I was playing a movie at some point. I really did feel like I was Jin Sakai. Sucker Punch did a thing with Ghost of Tsushima. So I have been subconsciously looking for a replacement for GOT. I did try Rise of the Ronin. That's a story for another day, video for another day. I'd also like to mention, this is the first time I'm playing any game in the Assassin's Creed series. And what drew me to this one, obviously, is because samurai, Japan, swords, stealth, sailors. I only started about 3 days ago. I can't tell you whether to buy it or not to buy it. I'll just tell you how it's keeping me engaged. So I'll only just be sharing on gameplay, graphics, story, differences, comparisons. I'm not talking about historical accuracy. I know people are trying to figure out if it's something they want to buy or not. For me, it'd be very difficult to knock GOT off of the pedestal I've placed it, but I can say Shadows is keeping me engaged. So let's get into it. When it comes to the story and narration of the games, while both games are open world, stealth, action games set in feudal Japan, their storytelling is slightly different. Because for GOT, it is set in 1274, that was around the Mongol invasion of Japan, while AC Shadows is set in the 16th century during a time of political upheaval and shifting of power among warlords. I'm trying not to give too many spoilers around the AC Shadows story, so I'll keep it as minimal but still try to compare both of them. When it comes to the storytelling, they both have strong stories to them. With Jin Sakai, the story starts with him and the rest of the samurais trying to defend Tsushima Island from the Mongol invasion. And when it comes to AC Shadows, you have like a good 15 minutes of like accessing Yasuke's memories and trying to get a sense of what the journey of Naoe, the character, is going to be about, you know, through the game. And so they both have very strong stories and history to them, and with AC Shadows having a much larger map, more people to come across, more tasks and more objectives to take over. So there's like a key objective when you start the game, right? There's people that you have to go after and things you have to do. Now there's other people that will give you other things to do. There's contracts you can take when you buy as many safe houses in the different districts and areas of the map. So in terms of expansion, with GOT, there was Tsushima Island and there was Iki Island, and the key was get rid of the Mongols. And with AC Shadows, it looks like there's going to be a lot more to do, which means I'm going to play the game longer, I'm not sure, but it looks like there's a lot more to do. Characters. In GOT, Jin is struggling between his traditional warrior code of being a samurai and the brutality of and reality of war, because in the time of war he had to pretty much become the ghost to do things a samurai would normally not do because of their code and their honor. But at that point he was struggling with wanting to protect Tsushima Island at all costs. He was pretty much one of the very few samurais that survived the battle on Komoda Beach at the beginning of the game. And so through the game, you find that he's just struggling with being the ghost and being a samurai, but knowing that what comes or what is more important is protecting the island of Tsushima and Iki. With AC Shadows, you have 2 characters, Naoe, who's seeking revenge, and Yasuke, who's, you know, the black samurai, is an African samurai. He's based on the real historical figure, and he is more about raw power, direct combat. Yasuke's story also explores identity, belonging, because he's navigating his place in a foreign land. Now, we may not have the same emotional intensity as GOT because it's more focused on world building and historical events that have already taken place because you're accessing memories. With GOT, the story follows a more linear progression. Side quests, character arcs, they all just add depth. Everything feels thematic, everything feels connected. The way Jin transforms impacts how the world and the NPCs around just perceive him. Before he becomes the ghost and after he becomes the ghost, the NPCs all interact very differently. The AC Shadows, they give you a lot of choices, and the choices influence the story. You decide what your character says, what your character does at each moment. There's also a dual character dynamic, and it allows players to experience different perspectives of the same events. So while Ghost keeps everything focused, AC Shadows gives you more flexibility in how you approach the narrative of the story and the game. So final thoughts in comparing both of them. GOT is a deeply personal story. It feels like you're playing through a samurai movie. While with AC Shadows, it's large scale, it's historical drama, there's multiple perspectives, and it's true to the Assassin's Creed series in how they tell stories and how the game plays. The graphics and the scenery, I would say GOT is more cinematic. It feels like you're in a painting in that game. In AC Shadows, I would say it's more photorealistic. The waterfalls look good, the forests feel very real, feel very thick. The mountain sides, you slide down the mountain. If you miss your footing, you have to go around, take another route. Compared to GOT, where Jin Sakai can just sort of climb up and find his way again. When it comes to navigation in both games, I find that GOT's navigation is nicer. It's one of the best I've seen in any open world adventure game I've played, because it's just the guiding wind. I don't have to go to the map to double check. I just need to swipe up, and the guiding wind tells me where to go. In AC Shadows, your guidance is a line on the floor, and so you can get lost really easily, really quickly. I got lost a few times in the forest, especially in the dark, and then the line disappeared. You almost have to find your way back to the main road for the line to be visible again, because the lines only work on a guiding path. So if you digress, in GOT, I digress a lot to, pluck some bamboo sticks on my way, get some hallucination flowers and different things on the way, just veer into the forest, kill a bear, get some hides for your upgrades. In Assassin's Creed Shadows, I got lost. I got in the forest, and that was the end. To figure it out and find my way back, and then continue on to where I was going. Because I do get distracted when I'm gaming to see what is happening in the surroundings. But in AC Shadows, I quickly found that distraction means getting lost. Now let's talk combat and weapons. In GOT, I feel like fighting is a bit more vicious. It's stance-based gameplay, meaning you pretty much decide what stance to take per the enemy you're fighting. If someone is holding a spear, 2 swords, or a shield, or if you're fighting a leader, or if you're assassinating a leader, or assassinating anyone, from behind. With GOT, I find that it's a bit more brutal. The Mongols are very organized. The minute you infiltrate a camp and they notice you're there, one person sounds the alarm, they're looking for you. They're trying to check, where is he? The ghost is here, let's find him, let's kill him. Battles can go from 0 to 1,000 in seconds in GOT. And when Jin dies in GOT, I feel like it's a bit more dramatic. He's shocked, the screen goes red and black, you feel it that, Jin is dead. In terms of combos, you have to be very aware of who you're fighting and how you choose to fight them. If you're fighting your Ronin, if you're fighting someone on Iki Island, where you have the shamans, it's much more difficult. I just find that GOT's fighting is a bit more, I want to say, technical. In Shadows, so far, unless I start to, I think I still need to learn a lot more technique, get more tools, get an extra weapon. I think with Shadows, you can have more, but I find that it's not as technical as GOT. Shadows, you don't really need to have too many combo moves. There's just about 2 moves that kill a guy. There's a heavy attack and there's a regular attack, and the characters do the rest. Unlike GOT, where when it comes to parrying or standoffs and choosing what stance to take when you're fighting who you're fighting, I find that with GOT, combat is a bit more technical. So if you already play GOT, you're already good at fighting in GOT, AC Shadows is a walk in the park. At least for me, I find it to be much easier. The RPG elements, AC Shadows has levels. You can't just liberate anywhere, anytime, because you're not strong enough. Your assassination will not work, your kunai would not work on that character if you're not strong enough. And one swoop of their weapon, you're dead. To GOT and assassinations, Jin can pretty much kill anyone. I think one of the first things that surprised me when I started AC Shadows was, in GOT, you can almost attack you can try to liberate almost anywhere at the beginning of the game. If you've upgraded your katana, you can pretty much liberate any city. But in AC Shadows, I find that there's levels, right? In GOT, if I just assassinate anyone, I can. In AC Shadows, your tricks don't work on just anybody and everybody. You have to follow the story and kill who you're supposed to kill at each point in time, because it's only at that time your character has acquired the skill to attack that person. So you find that your assassinations might not work on everybody in AC Shadows unless you've been upgraded enough for it to work. Some enemies in AC Shadows cannot be shot or killed too early. It makes encounters layered in AC Shadows compared to GOT, where it's free for all. If you can, go for it. If you can hide and you have enough kunai and enough black powder bombs, go for it. You can pretty much liberate any town in GOT without necessarily following the story. So abilities in GOT, it's stance-based combat, as I said. It lets you switch styles based on your opponent. But in AC Shadows, there's two different playable characters, and they both have two different fighting styles. At the beginning of the game, pretty much every swing of Yasuke's sword is beheading people, But with Naoe, obviously, it's going to take time to get you to that point. Similarities in their abilities and their weapons. Both games have black powder bombs, they have grappling hooks, but in GOT, your grappling hooks and your climbing is limited to places you can climb, and you just use the grappling hook to swing, from one building to the next or one tree to the next. While in AC Shadows, you can use your hook pretty much on any building. It helps you climb, helps you hang, helps you hide under the roof, and pretty much climb by any building in AC Shadows. Stealth and enemy encounters. Both games have stealth, but they're very different. In GOT, sneaking is part of Jin's transformation in Ghost. They make it very story driven, With each thing that Jin does, they always flash back to a lesson with Lord Shimura, where he'd say, a samurai does this, a samurai does that. So when Jin finds himself sneaking around, in fact, I remember Jin's first assassination, did they not give us a flashback? Like, samurais are supposed to fight with honor. You face your enemy head on, you don't assassinate like a coward. It's everything Jin had to do as the story progressed. They gave us context to why he found it difficult to do that thing, or they made a big deal out of that thing. Even when the first time, he used the poison, was there not a flashback? But with AC Shadows, there's a contrast. There's more ways to stay hidden in AC. You can crouch, you can go flat on the floor, crouch lower in the grass, crouch under structures. Enemies react when they find bodies in AC Shadows, which is why they gives you an option to carry a body when you kill the person so you can hide them. Because smarter AI, when they find bodies, they start looking up, they start suspecting what's going on, and it becomes harder to assassinate people. But in GOT, I find that it was easier, and I find it so interesting because the Mongols had near sight, but I don't know that they reacted quicker in GOT. Unless maybe I just had a systematic way of killing them, so I would kill who's in the middle first, obviously, because I know when they suspect that the ghost is around, the horn goes up, they're all looking for you, but you can still assassinate. If you give it a few seconds, they let their guard down. But in AC Shadows, once they find a body, they're looking for you, they're checking the grass, they're checking other structures, they're very aware. Infiltration also feels more dynamic in AC Shadows. Rooftop movement, grappling hook, the stealth skills becomes almost natural and automatic to the character. Worlds and exploration. GOT is set in Tsushima and Iki Islands. It's a relatively smaller map, but they make really good use of space and scenery. You see it with the trees, the plants, the forest you run into, the foxes you pet on your way. When it comes to the landscapes, it varies. You have forests, you have swamps, you have the snowy mountains, and it just sort of adds diversity to the map. Now, what Bunch has done is put everything all up in one space. It's very dreamlike, it's very cinematic. When you take part in the different activities, such as honoring the shrines, it gives you this view that then makes you sort of see the island, and it's just really beautiful. It feels like you're playing a movie, especially with the director's cut. With the cutscenes and the story, the way the story is told, the way Jin fights, it really just takes you on that samurai journey in a really nice way. When it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadows, it's a much larger map. You're covering Osaka, you're in Sakai, you're covering lots of places. Like I even saw Omi. So between GOT and Assassin's Creed, there's Omi. There's a few places that are similar, but then the Assassin's Creed map looks to be much larger and expansive. That makes me excited because now there's a lot to explore. They have larger cities. When you walk into the cities in Assassin's Creed Shadows, there's huge castles, there's more buildings. I think it's also based on what time both games were set, because with GOT, you have smaller houses, you have the huts, your towns are way smaller, even the Mongol camps are way smaller. Even when it comes to like big Mongol camps, like there's one in the mountains and I remember being rather large. It's still smaller compared to Assassin's Creed Shadows. In terms of population, right? In GOT, there's fewer people, you run into people to help on the way. Assassin's Creed Shadows, when you walk into the towns, there's a lot more people in there. They react differently in AC Shadows, and I guess people who play AC normally are used to this. For me, I'm not used to it. I'm used to being loved. Okay, when Jin moves around the towns that have been liberated, everyone is going on, ooh, samurai. AC, when I run into the town, I see people going on, ooh, ooh, like who's this? You almost have to constantly be hidden. There's a difference in AC Shadows when you're moving around at night compared to when Ghost is moving around at night or in the daytime. And I think for me, when I compare the themes and the world, I like GOT's world. I like how it looks. I like the angles. I like how the story is told. When it comes to AC Shadows, it's very much more leaning towards the stealth in the way that you play and the way that you have to constantly be on those buildings and climb and use your grappling hook a lot more. In addition, I think something that's different in both of them is the Shadows. The seasons change not just by the atmosphere, but they actually have a bearing on the game. Ooh, I love when it rains in AC Shadows. It feels so real. You even see the NPCs sort of, covering themselves, running, hiding. The rain feels very heavy. The night feels very dark. In GOT, you have the moonlight most of the time, so it's not as dark. So final thoughts, when it comes to both games, I will say I like both games for their differences. When it comes to the story, I like the GOT story. I like the story that's unfolding in AC Shadows. I like that there's two protagonists. I like that I get to play as Yasuke and I get to play as Naoi. When it comes to side quests and objectives and contracts, I like that there's a lot more to do in Assassin's Creed Shadows. I like that the map is bigger. I like that there's a lot more to explore. I like that it's set in a different time from GOT because it's 16th century, so it's further along from GOT. The buildings are different, expectations are different, how the game reacts is different, how you progress through your objectives is also different. The only thing I would say I don't like is the fact that I have to wait a certain level to liberate certain places. I kind of like to be all over the place in these games, but I don't hate it. I mean, it's keeping me engaged because I'm enjoying the battle, I'm enjoying the gameplay, I'm enjoying the story, and I'm enjoying the fact that it's something I haven't played before that is keeping me engaged, okay? Because that's a big thing. I find it difficult to like new games. That's why I keep playing the same thing over and over. Otherwise, I think I like both games for their differences, and yeah, I see myself finishing AC Shadows in the coming weeks. So subscribe, follow, like,